So let's meet the most recent excavators of these and other temple mounds across America. I believe there is more to these men and their quote-unquote works, and more to their names, if you know what I mean. First is James Alfred Ford. Supposedly, he was born in Water Valley, Mississippi in 1911, and was a, quote, seminal figure in the development of modern American archaeology, close quote. That's a pretty huge statement. So let's take a look-see at some of the highlights of his career. During World War II, he served as Senior Design Specialist in the U.S. Army Quartermaster General's Office, where he designed and tested military clothing and equipment for expeditions to the Arctic. So here is a military connection to all of this. Ford's expeditions range from 1931 to 1958 and included Alaska, the southeastern United States, Central America, and South America. An interesting side note is Ford's last works were an attempt to trace traits from the southeastern of the United States, or the Mississippian culture, to Mesoamerica, establishing a cultural link between these two regions. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, let's look at the Mayans and the feathered serpent followers. There are many similarities between these two cultures for sure. A quick glimpse of Ford's chronology goes like this. This man went straight from high school to surveying Indian sites for the Mississippi Department of Archives and History under Moreau B. Chambers. Strange how that happened so quickly. Most scientists work years leading up to archaeology digs, or at least you would think so. You know, gaining some experience. And it appears he was taken under the wing of Henry B. Collins. And if you don't know about the elite lineage of that name, I encourage you to look that up. Let's just say he's one of the bloodline families. He married Ethel Campbell in 1934, and at this point he was escorting Mr. Collins to archaeology digs all across the earth, from Alaska to Mississippi and Louisiana to Georgia, Chaco Canyon, New Mexico, Colombia, and South America. All the while jet-setting from all of these areas, he had time to obtain degrees, a MA at Ann Arbor, Michigan in 1938, and in 1940 becoming a student at Columbia University, receiving his PhD in 1949. And of course, the plot thickens. In 1947, Mr. Ford became the curator of North American Archeology, the American Museum of Natural History. And let me remind you, in 1947, that was when Operation Paperclip was in full swing. So this makes me question if Mr. Ford was the true Indiana Jones. I mean, his name being Ford and all. Let's just say it wouldn't surprise me. He became president of the Society for American Archeology in 1963, and eventually moved on in 1964 to become curator of archaeology at Florida State Museum in Gainesville, Florida. He was also a professor of anthropology at the University of Florida. And for playing his part among the elites, he received special recognition in the form of the Spindon Medal. And let me just pause here, because it's in the name Spindon. He received this honor for spinning the narrative among his archaeology digs and findings to sway and cover up, if you will, our history for these bloodline families. They financially backed him and promoted him for his whole entire career. And not surprising, they awarded him this in the year 1966. This award represented, and I quote, his outstanding accomplishments in theory, methodology, and chronology of the archaeology of the Western Hemisphere, plus for organizing the America Formative Conference. So basically, he's rewarded for fulfilling their narrative of taking control of these lands and the spiritual gates located within these lands through archaeology digs. And not only that, it allows them to control the artifacts found, physically controlling history, in other words, like the Smithsonian. Also interesting to note, in this document I came across on the web archive, it specifically mentions that Mr. Ford resigned the curator position at the American Museum of Natural History to Harry L. Shapiro, in which he states his grievances with Shapiro and the administration of the museum. But I think if this is true, it doesn't line up with the work that this man went on to do or the awards he would later receive, all of which indicate to me the special privilege he held. And of course, in the year 1933, Mr. Ford obtained a grant to conduct the survey of Mississippi and Louisiana mounds at the taxpayer expense under the Federal Emergency Relief Administration. In 1938, Ford goes on to expand these excavations within Mississippi and Louisiana, these temple mounds, and his headquarters were located in none other than the Big Easy, Vampire City itself, New Orleans, Louisiana. And if you haven't been to New Orleans, let me tell you, it's one of the darkest, occultic, and demonically oppressed cities I have personally been to. Even though this project lasted over 2 years, I'm sure the list of names involved in all of these projects is long and noteworthy, but for time purposes, I must move on. I do find some of his random notes worthy of another search, perhaps for another video, and perhaps we'll call that Ford's Findings. And just as a little footnote here, what's with the Angola Farm burials? For those who do not know, Angola Farm is the state-run prison for Louisiana, known as Angola. I noticed this was in some of the papers from his excavations in Louisiana, which brings me to the question, were prisons strategically placed near known temple mounds? The asylum in Georgia was located near mounds. I guess we will have to explore these questions and others in another video, and I hope you'll join me.